All right, then, once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you lovely, fantastic, and amazing mayoral types. My name is Josh, and welcome to another episode of Dead Men Streaming. And we are once again back in the beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, city of Imini Bay. And over the last few weeks, well, yeah, weeks really now that I think about it, we've developed a really fun little city with a casual little, suburban area over here at Elizabeth Meadows. And then over here down by Copper Bluff, we've got a nice little semi-industrial, semi high density area, complete with the technical university, a brand new college we just put down, some governmental buildings, and a bunch of other stuff. And yesterday, Hawthorne Glen came into being with a whole bunch of low density residential buildings, a trio of farms, and some open space up here. Now, if I was somebody who was any good at map deco, I would be coming up and I would be designing a park. I would be doing, a lot of stuff up here. And honestly, not. So I suppose I could practice, or I could do something else. So I'm going to do something else. And eventually I'll come over here and I'll decorate this. We're making money hand over fist. We've got enough money for something that I've wanted to build since I started the city. I just didn't know how expensive it was till after I got the roadway network done, and then we had to, earn money and all that fun stuff. All right, we are practically ready to start our downtown area. There's nothing really stopping us, except we keep running into a traffic issue. Now, what I'm about to do is not going to fix the traffic issue per se, but it is going to make some of the traffic a little faster. And considering the part of the map I keep highlighting and glancing at and staring at with tired and yet interested eyes, is this. This particular map, excuse me, sorry, I'm really tired. This particular map, it came with these tiles already bought, which implies that the designer wanted us to build a bridge right across here. And yeah, we're going to. So, a perk to this, I bought this game, I pre ordered it, expecting something amazing. And with that pre order, I managed to get the Golden Gate Bridge because I paid a significant chunk of money in order to get this and a bunch of other things. So, we're going to use this. Now, offline, I tested the heights of various bridges to see what we could get away with to going over sea lanes, because sea lanes require a minimum to get cargo ships and yachts and everything else through. And the intention is to decorate the shoreside up here with a couple of different harbors and a couple of different locations. Where? Not 100% sure yet. Probably, I don't know, I'm going to say right here, we'll have to get rid of that. And maybe another one over here. I was sort of thinking here, but that highway's awful close to it. I don't know. We'll find out later. We'll also put a harbor location somewhere down here, I think, on this corner, and there'll be another one over here. We do have to consider industrial ports as well, but that's all later. Either way, we're gonna have to make sure that our bridge is high enough that we can go underneath it for everything. Now, the good news is, while the Golden Gate Bridge is going to look gorgeous and it is slightly lower in height than the 8-lane divided cable style bridge or the highway bridges, the rail bridge is not so attractive. And that's just going to be a fact of life that we have to deal with. We didn't get an attractive or any kind of rail bridge at all. We just didn't. I don't know why. I mean, we get a bridge, but yeah, it is what it is. So I know that the Golden Gate is going to take at least 37.5 meters to go over it. I'm going to go ahead and start with the rail bridge, though, so that we can see what exactly we need to do. So right now we're already up to 20 meters. And then as we come off this bluff, we'll go ahead and increase it up to 30. And this is one thing that I really don't like. This to me, I know it is because I've seen it, but it doesn't feel overly realistic to me. It just, you know, these massive concrete pylons out in the middle of nowhere. It does not feel like it's the real world to me. Now, with that said, I know that it is. There's a couple of bridges like this in my hometown over a much smaller body of water. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't have to like it. I just sort of have to live with it. Now, here's where it's going to get hard because the rail bridges actually are harder to cross than for sea lanes than the other. Because look, we've got this much. In fact, we may not even be able to. So we're going to do our best. We're actually going to select the narrow seaway. And I'll probably play with it over here. Because right now, if you look, this bridge is just, the pylons are too thin to get it past this. And my hope is that we can. If we end up not being able to, because of the game mechanics, we end up not being able to. So cross your fingers. I built this intentionally. I actually don't build bridges anymore in CS2 over huge bodies of water just for this one particular reason. And it's frustrating and it's super stupid. And it's something that I wish the devs had thought out a little bit better. Yeah. Despite any best efforts, without using mods in the vanilla game, and if I am wrong, please tell me, you cannot get a rail bridge over a seaway. Um, I can't tell you how annoying this is because in real life, for me, I live next to the Ohio River. We have multiple bridges that cross the Ohio. I go over, around, and under them on a regular basis. And honestly, we get so much barge and river traffic that it would probably blow your mind. And the idea that you can't build a bridge over a sea lane in this game is so utterly annoying. So while I had intended to run rail all the way across here, it's not going to happen. We're going to have to strictly rely on our highway bridge, and I'm very disappointed in that. All right, so that's ruled out that. Now, with that said, that doesn't rule out our whole bridge plan because we've got more yet to go. So, all right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to get our highway node. Probably going to unpause this too. Is it dark or is it light? That's light enough. All right, I'm going to delete all this rail track for the time being. This rail is not gone for good. I'm going to run it up here, which is where we're likely going to have our first cargo port. It's going to be relatively close to here. It should connect roadwise up there. It'll look fine. I just don't want to put it in right now. That was kind of the backup plan anyways, in case this didn't work. All right, let's go ahead and let's start bridging, as it were, across here with a 3-lane. Go ahead and increase this to 20 meters. Give us a slope of 1.8 is fine. Now I'm going to adjust this slightly. I want this to come down. Let's bring this up to 30. All right. Then here, though, now the Golden Gate is actually a 6-lane large road. So keep this in mind. It's not a highway. All right. I'm going to... Basically, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it... I know it's going to be 37 and a half, so let's just go ahead and start it on the ground at 37 and a half. Now the question is, how are we going to start it on the ground? And where can we line this up? Oh, we can line this up just perfectly. Looks like we're going to be good to go if we line it up right there. I do not think I could have done that better if I had tried. All right, let's bring our 2-lane highway over. Well, our 3-lane highway over. Also gonna decrease the distance between the two. I'm gonna take off snap to everything because I really want that to line up as perfectly as possible. Amazing. Can't believe we got that right on the first try on that. This bobble right here, I will try to figure something out. We'll probably delete a node-ish and just sort of make that more of a gradual combination. Oh, I joined that going up instead of joined that going down. That was at just the right spot, too. Let's take a quick look. Does that go all the way to the ground right there? It does. All right, let's adjust this over here, but the only way we can adjust it is to buy that tile. So let's snag that. Yeah, road crew guys being hard at work over here. Gonna put snapping back on. I'm trying my best to watch the slope and how far down it goes. A 3.2 degree slope isn't awesome, but I think it's gonna do. Now, this part's going to be temporary. I don't want to buy all those extra tiles right now. We don't need to, so I'm not going to. We'll come back and we'll fix this junction in the future. Get that slope a little bit more reasonable and everything else, and come back, make this tidy up. But for right now, this is what it is. This does not need to be any more intensive than that. So, hey, look at that. We now have finally the massive bridge right across through here that we have been looking at and waiting for all this time. So, one more thing that we can do is we need to connect the bridge to power lines. And I think instead of trying to play around with underground lines or whatever else, what I'm going to do is we're going to come over here to Road Tools. We're going to select Lighting. Lighting is a way to bring power to highway networks and use highway networks to pass power through, just like roadway networks pass power through. Of course, it has to go all the way, so we're going to be looking at our first available intersection to where this is going to work from. There we go. We'll just drag that upgrade all the way across. The bridge is now lit. All the way down and across. Makes that a little nicer to look at night. So, big, huge investment, big, huge everything. We're good to go. That takes care of getting this bridge set up. The only thing, like I said, we could do different really is to come over here where this bobble is. Now, we do have some other options we can take. We can come over here with the landscaping tool. We can lift up the ground so that this bridge just isn't spinning off so, massively and onto concrete pylons everywhere. We could, but I don't think we're going to. I do travel several routes that have super long bridges, and it's a mix of earthworks and of heavy duty pylons. Look up the Charleston, West Virginia interchange. And I mean, there are pylons down there that are, I don't know, from where I drive over top of them, I'm going over 4-ish different levels of traffic at any given point. So we're talking stuff that's got to be 70, yeah, excuse me, 70, 80 plus feet in the air. It's absolutely terrifying when I think about it. Because I know how the rest of the roads in West Virginia are. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to trust this. Why? Who do you think I am? When do you think I was born? How about no? Um, yeah. All right. Anyways, that did not take as long as I thought it would. I expected that to be like a all video kind of thing, not a 20 minutes kind of thing. I'm impressed. All right. So we've done that. I'm saving for the sake of not swearing. Okay, we have saved. Now the next thing that we're going to do is, just to give this rail some peace of my mind, I'm going to come down, bring it back down to, 10 meters, whatever it was, 7.5. I'm going to go ahead and cross here, come up, come over. Pause the game again. Very carefully, we're going to come over, we're going to delete those tram tracks. Tram back at 7.5 meters, and then take off full snapping. Restored the tram tracks, and that puts our rail line underneath them and the highway at the same time. Perfect. All right, only thing we're missing over here is getting a road connection underneath the bridge, and this is going to be a wrong side of the track situation. We may not actually do that, because any roadway we put up is going to be 7.5. That's going to have everything brush against the bridge. I am certain of it. Let me double check my math. I was wrong. I'll accept that. That took 10 meters to get across the train and the tram. Angle is atrocious. Hmm. Never did get around to upgrading this, so let's... Looks like it's gonna be mean getting across that gravel road. So just looking at this, okay, so that's actually our 8 lane. Why did it drop down there? So we hadn't bought enough tiles or something. Okay, that won't overly matter too terribly much. But we're future-proofing our development plans. And I'm looking over here. Let's... That's already up to 10. Let's drop it. bridge pylon in the way right there. Super easy enough to do. The game will autocorrect that for us when I run that over. Auto-corrected. And we'll casually run this road up parallel to the tram line. Oh, except for that right there. Are you kidding me? All right. If I plan on deleting that, I'm going to have to buy that whole tile. That's the thing. All right. So it's going to be mostly parallel. So in all honesty, we're probably not going to leave this 4-lane road as it is right now. I'm just doing this for the sake of doing it, just so that there is this connecting path so that I can see it in my head later before we can eventually come back over here to build and design more stuff. As it stands right now, I have no plans on developing any of this area, but, well, rephrase it. I don't have any plans on developing this area anytime soon. We will develop this area in the future, but at least now we can do something like I can see a large sports complex going in over here. I think that'll probably be a good idea. Something along those lines. Large sports complex, some low density housing, a small mini village. Something pleasant down near the coast, something along those lines. But that time is not now. That time is not today. And we're not doing it. All right. But at the very least, we went ahead and added that little miniature road network. We've got our. I now know where the rail line is headed over here. Sort of. I think instead of that super sharp turn right there. Let me. With that nubbin sticking out to nowhere. Let me come over here. We're going to grab this. And then that way, when we buy this tile and drop down a cargo port, should be able to link up just right down there perfectly. The question is going to be, how am I going to link this? Is that unpause? Is how am I going to link this up to this safely to get it connected to the other cargo lines? Um, won't be the hardest. Should just be able to run it over top of the highway. Should. Should being the operative word. We'll see. All right, but that operative word is also going to be operatively not right this minute. So let's come back to that in the future. I also noticed that for whatever reason, trash pickup isn't picking up down here. Um, I'm not typically overly worried about it because we do have this massive water system over here, and that's providing enough. All right, before we do anything else, let me check our services and see what's going on this morning. All right, so we're good on water. We are definitely good on power. Um, Let me double check. I'm pretty certain that I upgraded this to its full potential, pretty much. All right, so power's good, water's good. Healthcare coverage seems to be a lot better. Adding that extra hospital did take care of what seems to be everything. Our average health is 100, or average health is 64%. Crematoriums are actually handling like they're supposed to. Cemetery availability is good. Having a slow uptick in number of patients, so I wonder why. All right. So that's good. Garbage processing seems to be okay. Um, 2 spots that aren't being collected. Don't know why. We probably will want to get the industrial waste processing site at some point. This is a big thing where it's going to decrease our total ground pollution from our industrial area. But believe it or not, our industrial area has so far largely been constrained over here. So I'm okay with it for right now. All right, let's take a look. Ew, our fire coverage sucks. Our fire coverage sucks a lot. Okay, so let's see about now that we've got money to burn, as it were. Um, okay, so we're going to use the urban fire station over here near the technical college for the look and style of it. Let's not set it down right on top of a existing residential building, though. We got a couple of decent locations where it could fit. I'm going to say we'll have good coverage. If we stick it, say, behind the hospital and next to that sports complex, then I do want to come over here. I do want to upgrade it, give it the training tower for 2 extra fire engines, and then the disaster response units. Then let's take a look. Does that provide an input? Wow. Not only does that provide ample coverage, it took our overall average fire hazard from 39% to 16% in one building placement. All right, can live with that. Okay, so that's done. Crime, how we doing? Police. Okay. Average crime probability has now dropped down to 2%. Perfect. Got enough police stations done. A couple of spots that have really bad coverage, but they're not populated. Like, oh no, I do not care if Anchor Street, where there are no buildings, has poor police coverage. Is what it is. All right, and then our trains. Let's bring up our. Click on that till we get one of our lines. Okay, so cargo is moving just fine by train, pushing out 2,000 tons a month, pushing out just slightly less than our truck traffic. Fine. Public transport, where taxis, which we don't even have a taxi depot, are moving roughly 4,000 citizens a month. That's good. Okay, so bus is Doing only about 20,000 train, 12,000, so that's not too bad considering we only have two train depots, and our tram is moving about 10,000 a month with one line. All right, I'm okay with all this. We have no tourists, though, of note, like 55 tourists a month. That's kind of sad. I think my hometown gets more tourists. Yes, my hometown gets more T word than that. Tourists. So we want to do something to fix that. Okay, and our park and rec. Um, a couple of areas look like they could use a couple of parks, but by and large, I think we're all right. Let's go ahead and do something down here. Guy will slip in. There's no good place for an outdoor gym. Let me toss in a skate park over here. See if that kind of improves quality of life. Any right there. We'll go for a basketball court. A couple of them actually. Right beside that elementary school. Then back here, right off the highway, there's not much of anything. And we've got a tram line right there, so that's going to interfere. Let's stick a. Let's see, that's all office space. That's not going to make a lot of sense for a sports park right there. Dog activity park almost seems a little bit out of place over here because we're not next to any residential. Now then, with that said though, this should work out pretty nicely, this multi-purpose park, and having it be right behind a large commercial section, I think would make people happy, and it's also right behind that rail station as well. Um, Let me go ahead and take some liberties. So we'll put this multi-purpose park down, and then I'm going to turn off snapping, and there. So now people can come down this walking path and go straight over here. That's done. We'll go ahead and see what we can do about turn snapping back on. If we bring it up here, it's not going to mesh well, I don't think. So instead of using that path, actually, would there be? No, there wouldn't be. I don't think we'd have any luck doing that either. Um, there we go. So now we have this multi-purpose park. It connects with a couple of different pathways up to Moore Street and then down over here to Cooper Street and just gives us some more pedestrian access coming down through here. And I think what wouldn't really stick out of the way at this point is if we stuck a Mediterranean style multi mixed use commercial if we can find one. Don't see one, we'll go ahead and stick a French. There we go. So we have apartments for people who want to work there. Now they're next to a park. Now there's going to be a little noisy because they're next to the train station, but I think all told, that'll improve this area just a little bit. Fill in that corner. Make things look just slightly better right there. I think we're good. All right. Well, sometimes just that little bit of detailing can really just go a long way. Can't really tell that I've done anything from a distance, but knowing what we know up close, that helps. And that'll help bring up the land value in that area. All right, looking next, any other places that need some park love? Over here in the industrial sector, could use a plaza or a dog park or just a small park right over here. Improve their quality of life. We I don't see any spots. Is there a building right there? No, there is not. All right, so let me come over. Let me get one of our tiny parks. It's a wide park. That hop a hair right there. What building is that? Mediterranean High School. Okay, with nothing behind it. Tennis court, 2 basketball courts are behind a high school. That seems perfectly reasonable to me. There we go. That improves the land value. Then what's that right there? Is there anything on that side? No. One more small park right there. I said small park. Small park. All right. Playground. Yeah, since we've got enough residential. Okay. All right, there we go. That should. I think everything in this area is like level 5 anyways, so probably not necessary, but I like the looks of it and I like knowing that my land values are in the green and they are high, and we take care of that way. All right. And looking down over here at Copper Bluff, we've got a lot of open spaces still that haven't really been filled in, haven't really been developed. One thing I do want to check on, and I know I'm not going to like the results of this, is our homeless population. Ouch. Homeless population of 769 and an unemployment rate of almost 20%. Wow, we do not have enough jobs in this town. Okay, well, those are terrible numbers. Slip that there. Then I'm going to go ahead and slip a walking path, pair of walking paths up to these cul-de-sacs over here. Just so that, like, if you come in, if you want to travel to the city and you live here, you can just, walk down an alley, come over here, hop onto the train station without having to, you know, drive on the sub road, get involved in this intersection, walk all the way up. You know, think I'm not sure how happy I would be if I owned like this mansion and somebody put you know, a pedestrian path right over here. Uh, but I think if I lived in one of these other smaller houses, that I would appreciate it. Same thing with that one right there. All right, let's take a look. What needs to get filled in over here? We turned this into a pretty solid commercial district, so let's do that and let's take a look for a commercial signature building. So something like this square center would actually decrease our import costs citywide, and I think that would be a good solid investment right back here. That'll make it easier for every building we have to level up. And we'll just nestle it right in the middle of a whole bunch of additional commercial. Won't stick out, won't look too bad. And then again on this back side, what I'll do is we'll use some French high density offices. This way they don't stick out too much. We still get the perks of having high density offices, but less the, the tall towering skyscrapery impact. We want tall towering skyscrapery impact, just not right here. All right, we've got more commercial demand over here as well, so let's just go ahead and fill in that. Then I think down here beside the sports complex, we'll go ahead and connect this walking path up into here. Drag that out right there. We'll slip in a cul-de-sac. It's all row housing. We'll use this waterfront housing, which I genuinely don't like, but it's got some perks to it. Be a decent way to fill out that neighborhood. Give us some solid growth and boost right through there. Okay, so some heavy duty commercial building right up through there, some light residential right over there. Now, I haven't done a ton right in here. I've been trying to keep our high density apartments sort of spaced out a little bit from each other. I don't know how much longer we can get away with that. This is not so good though. These guys are doing nothing but complaining about the noise pollution because they're right between all of that. Don't know if there's anything we can do about that. May just have to live with it for them. Tough luck, whatever. Where does this tram line have a stop? Right over there at Lilac Street. And then right up there, there's no... I don't think there's any sense in putting something right there. So what we can do though is go ahead and develop this out a little bit more. There is pedestrian pathway right there. Well, that came out just about perfect, didn't it? So looking at this tram track right here, I think I'm going to be better served if we pause, if we delete. And since we've been focusing on using this as a walking path node, since we've been focused on using this as a walking path, there we go. And let's see, tram stop right there, a tram stop over there. Let's just go ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. Two more tram stops. Unpause. And then just looking at this right here, I would say we've got... why did it do that? I hate it. You zone a road and the game's like, wow, hey, you zoned a road here. We can't have this house all the way down a block from here. Makes absolutely no sense to me in any way, shape, or form. We do have a bus line running here, but no, and we do have a bus stop right there. Uh, hmm. I'm gonna switch where that stop gets off. We'll set it right there so it's just within walking distance of the tram. And we'll delete that stop entirely. Okay, then we're going to come over here and let's get rid of some of this errant. And you guys can see where the trams are sort of holding up traffic right here. And this is why I've gone to as many lengths as possible to avoid keeping the trams on any of the major roadway network, off of the roadway networks. And we're using their own dedicated lanes. Why in the world did that glitch out right there? So I'm going to delete that tram stop right there because for whatever reason, the trams seem to think that they need to go there. We're going to replace it with a stop right there and then try that. So why it's important every now and again to take a look at your transport lines, make sure they are working. Because now we got a whole tram load of people who just, you know, got abandoned. The tram deleted, but the people didn't. Which is good for the people, but not for the tram. And it's always a good thing. You put down extra roads and suddenly you see a lot of foot traffic on it. That makes me happy. Okay, so we boosted this a little bit. Let's go ahead and finish it. All right, we're going to drop a mix of medium density housing and light density. Should make that a little more attractive. Swing over for another signature building. And this time, since we're against the coast, let's go for something that's going to look pretty freaking cool. Don't need anything huge, but something that's going to... Looking for something with a decent footprint. So what is this? The Frankfurt Masson building is home of your city's premier newspaper. That's an interesting residential choice, I guess. It doesn't sound like a residential building. But having a newspaper office on a main line right to the current city, governing offices doesn't sound like the worst idea possible. So it stands out and adds that nice little clock face, I guess, right there, and gives a good view of the bridge and all that. Okay, what's going on over here? This building is complaining it doesn't have road access because it's not sitting against the road. I mean, fixed. Okay, next. Saving game. Okay. How many people are moving in here? 327, so not a terrible amount of people by any stretch. Let's put some dense commercial right beside it. I think down here, though, we can get away with a line of high density offices. High density office on one side, high density commercial on the other as we approach the coastline coming out of the college. That should be good for us. What are you grumpy about? You're preemptively condemned. You've been glitching since I zoned you, so let's just... And I see why, too. Let's just de-zone you, and we don't really need a park there because you're already next to one. Okay, that should go a long way. And then what are these guys cranky about? Not enough customers. What type of building is this? Lodging. 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 And I'm gonna bet you're lodging too, aren't you? No, beverages. All right, well. Can't do anything about that. All right, now as far as lodging, not having enough customers, that is a tourism issue. So let's take a look and see how long I've been recording this. I have been recording for an hour today. All right, so I'm going to game for my capstone development for the afternoon. First, though, really quick, let's go over the list of things we've gotten done so far today. We determined that a bridge across the sea with rail was not going to happen, which leaves me frustrated and borderline infuriated. We did go ahead and put in our Golden Gate Bridge all the way across, although it looks more orange than gold. Your mileage may vary. This allows us to have enhanced traffic flow, speedier traffic flow, and just a general improvement in our city at large. What we didn't do that I need to do is to put a diverging diamond interchange down here somewhere in this area. So that's going to be something that we'll have to do in a future build because I do want people to be able to hit this interchange and then get on the main road networks. I want people to be able to come up from wherever the fuzz this is and come up and come over, and instead of having to drive all through town or driving all the way over here and then up another 4 or 5 miles and down another 4 or 5 miles before they can get on the roadway. I'd like to make their lives easier. And since we've already got an elevation step right here, shouldn't be the most difficult thing ever to go ahead and add a off ramp. In fact, let me just test and see how much of a headache that might be. We'll start somewhere back over here. We'll follow the traffic line. I mean, that's half the diverging diamond right there. Let's just go ahead and finish that up. I'm here. Let's just get it done. Come on, please connect. Oh, you are way too low, and you're under the deck of the bridge. That's why you're not connecting. Ramp runs a lot further out than I was expecting it to, or needing it to keep it at a decent grade. I don't like that. It looks atrociously ugly. It does not want to connect there. Wonder why. Okay, let's take a second and get rid of these unnecessary pedestrian crossings. There, our basic diverging diamond coming out of that interchange is done. Gives me a really interesting shape down here between the diamond and the highway and everything else. Wow. All right. Oh, that's. I'm not going to say it's an eyesore. I'm going to say it's a monument to urbanization. And that's what we're going to go with. That is a monument to urbanization and mass transit. Okay. Yeah. But hey, I can also tell that it's already working. I mean, we've got road traffic that's jumping up on here. And it's road traffic coming. Where is this road traffic coming from? Let's take a look. Click on the road, click on toggle traffic routes. Huh. So it's traffic that's decided. It's easier to get into the city by going there than it is to take the highway. That's odd. Wonder why. Huh. I don't have a clue. I do not have a clue, but hey, they're going there. That's what matters. All right, and Then over here on Cherry, looks like we've got some traffic. It's just straight up coming down from the highway, U-turning, and U-turning there as well. Why? Huh. All right. Well, I don't claim to know everything. So highway traffic that's going there is coming. It can't be right. Huh. Okay. Again, not my business. I just make the roads. How people travel them is their decision. Okay, so we're almost at 15 million. I want to figure out where I want to put this. Parks and Recreation. We're going to go over to tourist attractions, which we have very few of so far. I'm going to yawn in your ear a little bit more, and I apologize for that. My time of recording this video. I have been up since a little bit before 5 this morning with a migraine, so it is what it is. Okay. I rarely have opportunity to build this building. And when I first started this city, my thinking was, wow, we're going to have an area that's going to be largely rural coming off the side. And I apparently was quite wrong about that because we've been largely suburban. But I was thinking that, they would have a church next to, some rail, an on ramp or something like that. And, this would be something where an old village, an old town would have appeared. Um, then I saw how much it cost, and I was like, wow, that's not going to be feasible. So I would like to stick it somewhere up here in the hills, and develop a little small extra area around it, something similar to Hawthorne Glen, something that's coming up from this area. And I think at this point we can go ahead and get away with doing that. So it's just going to be a matter of seeing where we can put it in terms of both topography and in a location that it's going to stand out at in the background. But this time of day is not going to be the best, so let's give it a second while I take another shot of caffeine. You have any notable resources up here that I care about? More ore, a little bit of oil. We've also got an outside connection we can set. That was part of the plan very, very ages ago. And a highway network connection to make. So we can go ahead and buy those things right now. We're making 500,000 an hour, which is wonderful. Let's delete that edge of that highway. I'm going to stick a very large roundabout right there. Try something that I have seen City Planner do, of City Planner plays. Create something of a super node right there. It should be minor traffic obstructive. There we go. Okay. So now we have, this is something I've wanted for a very long time. Our inbound traffic, instead of having to cut down through here and cut through the city to connect, can now finally go straight into our highway system. Dead on. And then decide where or how or what or whatever they're planning on going. And I'm not bothered at all by any of these little bits of lumps or bumps or whatever on the highway. I mentioned in my last video I recently drove to Beckley, West Virginia off of I-77 and then I think 64. And I think there was a route or two and some super trippy roadways. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you, the whole thing felt like a roller coaster, maybe nauseous. This also makes me think of the trip to Morgantown, West Virginia from the Ohio River area. So, yeah, no. Sometimes uneven roads are the most realistic roads, so we're going to go with that. All right, well, we're also going to go ahead and go with, I'm probably overdoing this right now because I just wanted to put down one building, but I wanted to make sure that we get our setups done properly. All right, that gives me one more rail passenger exit. And I think that'll work, so let's... Ew, we had a bad day here. So 2 motorcycles wrecked, and they managed to set an apartment complex on fire. Wow. Well, that's one of those things you'd expect to make the news. Okay. Perfect. That's going to come straight up and cross right through that section, and done. We now have a new outside line. Beautiful. Absolutely spectacular. Okay. Very happy. So then where would you... I mean, we've already got this mountain up here. We've got this rail track right up here. What we don't have is an access road. And we don't have an easy way to make one. Excuse me. Oh, we probably should also go ahead and do a cargo line here as well. There we go. One extra cargo line, one extra passenger line. Done and done. So I'm looking at all these beautiful hills and that beautiful river is what's selling me. Let me snap up the following tiles. If I'm going that far, I may as well go that far as well. And if I'm cutting across that far, just go ahead and cut across that too. Okay, 1.3, fine, I'll live. This wouldn't necessarily be a 6-lane road, but since I am going to go ahead and connect it to the outside world, I like it better than a 4. So what I'm going to do... Now this time we're going to do our best to follow this valley. Okay, now we have another outside connection. We've cut under a couple of hills rather than rolling over them. Not the most realistic. Here in West Virginia, we would just, blow them up because that's the thing we do. We just blow up the hills entirely. Since that's not gonna... There we go. Not saying we don't have tunnels in West Virginia, but being realistic, we would just blow them up. All right, I don't like this turn. I don't like that divot either. Okay, the concrete retaining walls, all of that's 100% normal. So if you're not used to having an area that's, hilly or interconnected or whatever, no, believe me. Believe me when I say that is 100% no BS. All right, let's take a look at our closest bus station, which I think is down here. Do a bus line tool. And a simple out and in. And traffic's already started. Okay, cool. Now, finally, we've done all of that. And we have done all of that with the intent of bringing a 4-lane. Whoops. So we can go ahead and connect that to the outside world too. Coming over to our parks. Coming over here to Notre Dame. Smoothing out that whole section right there. And then putting an overly expensive church on the hillside. And then we're going to come back. I'm going to pause. So we're going to have to delete a significant chunk of that. Perfect. We now have a tourist trap and the largest church possible in the game, which is not saying much because there's only two. But we now have a good connection. I kind of like this bridge right here. I think this looks pretty awesome, all things considered. And I can personally see state highways coming in and saying, "Well, hey, listen, the old gravel road that used to come up to this church is no longer viable," and turning it into a 4-lane. But then I can see the state highway department not giving a anything a rat's behind, as it were, about, the old ways of doing things, of walking down from the chapel to the river to get water, to fish and to boat and to do the things that they would have done back in the day on a gravel road in a small village right through here that will develop as we buy some stuff later. And since we've gone ahead and connected right there, that's a 2-lane. That stays 2 all the way up there, right? Yeah. I can also see a couple of non-local developers go, or a city municipal saying, "Hey, listen, us over here at Hawthorne Glen, our family history ties very heavily into this area, and that church is part of our birthright. So, the old bridges and stuff have all washed out, so we would like to have something new here." And just sort of, you know, building it somewhere back in the 1960s and then it never getting uprated again. So just put a nice wooden covered bridge right there. It doesn't interfere with the water flow. Pleasant enough to drive through. And we're good. All right, I can come up and decorate this to my heart's content later. I don't know if I'll put anything by it, but I can decorate it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Josh. Thank you again for tuning in today. Thank you for listening to Dead Men Streaming. I hope this gave you some ideas, some plans, some hopes, some dreams, some aspirations, something or other to do. While I install a large roundabout with tree and bushes right there and get rid of some unnecessary pedestrian crossings. Because, nope. I think I said give me a like, a follow, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed. Welcome again to the delightful city of Imini Bay, and I hope you've enjoyed. That better not be telling me that needs, but it is. No vehicles. No vehicles, my pasty, nerdy, white little backside. Oof. Fix that tomorrow. Good night for now, everybody.